Okay, I'm playing, as you can see here, I'm playing against the um, uh, bot. Brain fart there. Uh, and I'm playing as black here. I'm kind of just trying to get familiar with some of the openings here because my opening game is really bad. So we have queens opening here. Um, Again, I kind of just sort of fumbled around in this one. I didn't really have much going on up until later on in the game, and I want to show you where I was my strategy was basically pin right there, bop bop. I thought at this point, I was like, this pin probably wasn't the best idea, but it is what it is. Let me just look here at the game. It's one of the top moves, so okay, it wasn't a terrible move. All right, I'm pleased with that. But my pin gets attacked. Best move is to take the knight, which I didn't do. I just backed up. Of course, there's always that potential problem. But if I had like a pawn right here, I probably wouldn't have backed out, I would have just retreated the bishop. So like again, let's just going back here. If I had a pawn sitting right here, and then I moved back right there, and then that would be a bad because now my bishop can't get away. It's blocked by the pawn, and there's just a dead bishop. It's for nothing. So because I knew I had, just in case b4 was coming, I knew I had an escape, and I could just go out that way. I decided to go ahead and try to keep the pin. So, now I have control over d5, and that was kind of the idea of the pin, because the knight can no longer support this because he's pinned to the king right there. So I could, I got pieces all over this thing, not to mention the queen. So I have control of that. I go ahead and castle. I didn't really know what to do at this point. I was like, I'm waiting for him to make a move, I guess. The bot. It's actually a pretty good bot. I'll be honest with you. Plays pretty well here on the level on the intermediate level. I guess at least for me, little old me. But like I said, I didn't know what to do here. There really wasn't a whole lot I could do with the bishop at this point. This knight can go here, I guess, and then maybe there. There's that, and then potentially this. But again, why? Like, why would we do that? That was the big problem for me. I could go knight here because that knight's pinned, and then add a supporting attacker on this. You could go just, whoops, I'm sorry. I could go here and then takes back, and then we fork the king and the rook right there. That's one thing we could have done. I just saw right now, but I didn't see that while I was playing. Um, and let me see here. Yeah, one of the top moves is this. So, but I just didn't see it. I'm not that good, so I just castled. Maybe not the best move, but I just castled. Again, I'm just waiting to see what he does. But he castles as well, and that's where I begin to form my plan of what I want to do. Whenever I see, so chess is about finding patterns, and that's kind of what I've been trying to teach myself, to look for the patterns. And typically, when I see this knight, this is one of the patterns I see. This knight here is a defender. He's protecting this so that I can't go somehow if I were to get this bishop right here or like this bishop here, queen right there, I cannot mate him right there. Um, this knight will be protecting that square right there. So that's the idea of that knight. So whenever I see this, my immediate thought is, okay, I got to get rid of the knight. If I get rid of this knight, then I'm in a good position. That's kind of just the general idea. It's not totally correct, but it's a general principle. Now, let me see here. This was actually the best move, taking the knights. Go ahead and make that trade. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought it's probably a good time to take that knight. I'm not totally I'm not like I don't know exactly why yet, but I guess what I thought was because I've had situations where I had to take that knight, this knight right here, but then this knight sometimes the second knight was always like on this square right here and supporting this knight. So if I were to sacrifice a piece to take out, especially usually, and it's usually a bishop to sacrifice or another knight, it's always a good piece. Then this knight could just take back and replace it, and that's just not a good thing for me. So I thought, well, let's just take out this knight so we can just get rid of that problem, right? It's a sacrifice, but it is what it is. All right, we don't got a dark square bishop anymore, but that's just what it's going to be. At this point, again, I'm still thinking about the plan. My plan is I want to get this bishop on this line right here, and then eventually push this bishop, I mean this pawn up. If he takes, whatever. It's not the best thing for me, but the idea is to clear out this square so I can just, I mean this diagonal, so I can just look down there. So I'm going to start with that move right there. Computer doesn't like that. And I guess because it would eventually land his bishop on this square, which is, okay. But that's this is fine with me, honestly. Like that's really cool. I'm gonna now. I was thinking about, should I just take with the pawn? I could take with the pawn, but I was like, but I can take with the knight, and my knight's gonna be safe, at least for now, unless like that happens. But I wanted to take with the knight because if my plan is to get this bishop right here, and if I took with the pawn's going to get stuck right here, and his bishop's no longer looking down right there. So I took with the knight. Again, game may not like it, but whatever. I don't really care. I knew what I wanted to do. I had an idea. Um, so I think he's thinking, the bot is thinking, well, that's hanging, so and this knight could just jump in right there, and that's not going to be fun. That's a fork on the queen and this bishop right there. So goes ahead and protects that. So all right, that's fine. It's not even what I really wanted to do, to be honest with you. My next initial idea, again, I didn't have this all planned out in my head, but my idea is just to start just just migrating all my pieces out this direction, basically. That's the idea. Get the queen in there, and just so I'm gonna start pulling this knight in. I'm gonna get this knight over here and just right there. So apparently, according to the game, I'm losing pretty badly. I'm positionally bad. I just didn't. I don't know, man. I looked at this and I was like, I know I'm probably missing something. I probably am, but I did not see any major threats here. So I was just like, all right, let's get the bishop out right there and prepare for this line. Knight gets attacked, so I have to retreat that knight. And this is the best move for the knight. And I didn't want this knight again. I don't want the knight coming this way because I'm trying to get my pieces over here on the king side of the board. So I was like, hey, you might as well. I was gonna move him over there anyway. So hey, now again, see, because I don't have a pawn stuck there, I can just push this pawn up, and then boom, we're looking straight at that knight. So all is good. We're looking good so far, at least according to me as I play the game. This queen move was interesting. I was like, huh, all right. Um, okay, so I just decided we're just gonna keep going with the idea. If he takes, no big deal. I don't really care. Um, uh, Whatever. But he moves his pawn. All right, sweet. We're looking straight at this. Now I saw that move and I decided he's attacking my knight though. That's the problem here. He's attacking my knight. So I was like, oh, do I move the knight? I can just put him right there. Now I'm looking at this, and then maybe queen right there. Of course, again, see, this is the problem. It's this knight right here. I got to get rid of that knight. I got to take that knight. Um, if you take the knight, he takes with the bishop. The bishop's still a pretty strong defender, but he's only really defending this. The key squares are these right here that you want to be at to launch a pretty good attack, especially with the queen. So that knight has to go. But I thought here, I was like, hey, that queen is right behind that rook. Let's just go ahead and attack the queen. And I did not see that. That's the thing I did not see. I was like, oh man. So that was a bit of a missed, something missed on me. But I decided, you know what, we're just going to, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it. We're going to go and just take this knight. And I knew taking this knight that this was coming. Like he's gonna take first. Well, first he took my bishop, which is probably, was that smart? I don't even know, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's not even the best move, to be honest. The reason why it's not a great move because now your king is wide open here. You see that? Wide open, and you've really messed up your castle structure at this point. You got a hanging pawn right there as well. And so I looked at this and I went, okay, now my queen is blocked by the knight. The knight has been spared by the pawn, so I can now move the knight right here. However, what I do understand is this going on right there, and I knew that this was going to happen. But I looked at that and I went, if the queen was on the other side, that'd be a different issue. That'd be a totally different issue. If the queen was right here on d3, the bishop was on c2, then I'm going to get mated. So then I would have to do something like g6 to block that. That would be a problem. And then I would lose the knight. I would lose the knight right here, and then I got to, and then I would just take right there, and then I could still move right there. So it was still a pretty good, solid situation for me. Not a bad situation according to the plan I had anyway. But because I knew the bishop was in front rather than the queen, I was like, I'm going to get checked, and I can't take the check. I can't take the bishop because he's being guarded by the queen, but there's no threat. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And sure enough, he checks me, and so I have to slide my king over. There's no other legal move for me. That's all I can do. And you look back here, you can see that it's the only move. There's literally nothing else we can do. So I'm like, all right, no big deal. Slide back. What else is he gonna do at this point? He's really got nothing. I mean, no big attack. At least, again, not that I can see. Um, let's see here. We got what are top moves? Top moves. Bishop back right here, and now attacking this rook. Which would be bad. I would have to pay attention to that. Like if he did that, that would like this is a pretty strong move. Like the top move is this, and I don't really see why that's like a significant move. I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. But this would make me go, ah, man, I got to deal with this, because my idea is I want to get my queen right here. Um, and then I want to put my queen here on h3 because h3 would prevent if he decides, oh crap, my king is in danger. I'm gonna move my rook out of the way, try to get my king out of there. If the queen is on h3, prevents the king from being able to get out of there, and the rook cannot do anything to assist the king. So and yeah. So anyways, but that was my idea. So but if he does this, e4, he's attacking my rook, and I'm going, okay, I'm probably gonna have to deal with that. So I'm gonna have to do something like b8. The reason why I would want to do b8 rather than c8 because then he can just come down in here and just continue to harass the rook, and I'm just gonna have to constantly deal with that. So you might as well just put it on a dark square, which because this is the light square bishop, you might as well put it on a dark square so the light square bishop can't touch him anymore. That's what he probably should have done, but that's not what he does. He goes ahead and just leaves that bishop sitting there, and this is where I had sort of a dilemma. This is where the game, like you see, the bar flips in my favor. And I think it's going to start, if I'm going to guess, because this is my first time doing an analysis of this game, I'm going to assume that from this point on, it is my game. So White's kind of blundered his opportunities, and he's got really no more of much of an attack anymore. I mean, what are these guys going to do? I mean, the best thing he can probably do is like this right here. I think he does take that. It is a hanging pawn, by the way. It's something I missed. But again, I'm more focused on what's going on over here. So he could do this and then create some problems for me, eventually. But my thing was like, and I think if you're White, you got to think about I can create some opportunities, but by the time I create those, am I going to get checkmated before anything? Like I'm going to get all my queen, I'm going to get my rook down here. By the time I do that, Black's queen and other pieces are closing in on this king, and they got no defenders to support, and so he's going to get like that's one of the problems here. But anyways, so my idea at this point now is I was thinking like, okay, so I want my queen right here. I want my queen right there. That's just an excellent spot for my queen. She's going to be really safe, at least again to me, as I can tell, really safe right here. Unless he did something like this and then went like boom right there, then my queen's in a little bit of trouble. But then I could just push her up to h3, right? And then that's where I want her ultimately. I want to get my queen right here to go to h3 so that I can block the king from escaping and then continue to do the work that I want to do. So now the other thing though is I was thinking about, see, this pawn here, these two pawns were a problem for me because I want to get both knights into the game over here. But if I just move this knight right here, I just get taken, and then um, what am I going to do if I take with this pawn? Then now my king's kind of really open and in a very vulnerable spot. This pawn is still guarding the square, but the queen just has some room here, boom, boom, right there, and that's a big problem for me, right there. I still got rooks, and my queen connected to the rooks, that I still got that stuff, but again, that's just a problem for me, and I don't want to have to deal with that stuff. So I don't want to just be going knight here and then takes and then whatever, break up my own castle structure. It's already been somewhat damaged, so we don't need to damage any more than we've already done. Now the idea I had here, I had a couple ideas. One idea was this. I was thinking, if I put this pawn up, attack this pawn. Now I could do that. The problem with that is, if it depends on him taking, I can't, it's not about me taking his pawn, it's about him taking my pawn. So if I push up right here and he takes, then that's going to be a good thing for me because then I take with a knight and then boom, we're set. But if I push over here and he doesn't take it, what am I going to do? This knight really can't go anywhere. He's really kind of stuck here. He's got no, I mean, there's this, but again, I don't, what am I doing there? There's nothing there really. Yeah, there's nothing there. So I didn't want to do that. And then again, so if I took, he would just take back, and I'm stuck with the same problem. So what I thought here, I thought, what I could do though, is that there's a potential where I can go like this. It's a bit of a convoluted plan, probably not the best one, but I can go right here. I could take, And then if he takes back, I could then go rook here. But the problem with that is, of course, the bishop right here guarding that square. So again, I'm telling you right now, I've been trying to visualize lines, playing chess. That's how you get good at the game, visualizing lines. So I've been trying to do that. I was doing all of this at this point in this game. I was doing all of this stuff. I was visualizing all of these potential lines. I'm like going, I could get my rook right here. Can't do that because, queen and the bishop are guarding this. So I would have to get my rook right, oops, like right here or something like that. And but the problem with that is this bishop right here. And then I could, with my queen on h3, rook right here, I can go ahead and just go for mate right there. That was kind of the idea that I wanted to do. But the problem was this bishop. So I'm thinking, well, once I get my queen right here, so okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But so when I'm thinking about all this stuff, I'm thinking, okay, there's that. But here's the problem here. Like I just didn't. I was afraid that I might have missed something, and might have to do something with this bishop right here. So I thought, okay, I got an option here. I can go through with this plan I have right here. I can just try to do, boom, 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 and then boom. But before that, I would go knight here and draw out the bishop. Boom, like that, and then go queen right here, and then further pressure that bishop to go ahead and take the knight, so then I can just take that bishop with my queen, and then bring the rook up. But I thought, this queen and this bishop, I don't like this idea. I just don't like it. So I decided to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that he did not retreat his bishop, which he should have done, and I trapped the bishop. There's no saving that bishop at this point. It's gone. So right here, it's kind of a bit of it is a move that kind of like it doesn't gain me any tempo, sort of, but hey, I win a bishop, so that's sweet for me, and the game likes that, so awesome. This queen move, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I don't know what that's doing. I thought maybe the idea here would maybe to go here, and then go, for check right there. And that would have been, again, this is like ouch, but it's not mate and it's not a big threat because what is the queen going to do after this? There's nothing after that. You can't go here, you can't go there. You're going to lose your queen. But at the same time, I went, okay, I saw that, I went, okay, I'm just going to get my king to safety. Now, in hindsight, I didn't like this idea. I actually thought, I probably shouldn't have done that because eventually I'm going to want to get my rook here. You're going to see that my plan begins to sort of take it starts to take a different shape a little bit. The general idea of the plan is still there, but it just sort of it morphs a little bit. I begin to going, well, you know what? I should have had my rook here. So having my king right here keeps my rook from being able to get in that corner right there. But pawn over here, and I decide, okay, now let's do this. Okay. And at this point in this game, it's like, oh, that's a free pawn, right? Like h3. And I was thinking to myself, let's just take that pawn next. But I'm looking at this point here and I'm going, okay, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Because I've had so many instances where I'm like so zero focused on a plan. I'm going, all right, I got this plan. I never really considered other ideas that my opponent might do. And next thing I know, he's attacking me. And I'm like, oh man, there goes my plan. So I saw this move and I went, okay, what is this? Is that a problem? Not really. This pawn can go down right here, and I can just take, or I can take with the knights, whatever. This pawn is going to be hanging, however, if I do that. Excuse me. If I take with the knight. So that could be a problem. However, it is at this point, like I told you earlier, I was thinking about getting this rook right there, so that then I could then take on h3 with the queen. For whatever reason, it's not doing the arrow thing either, so sorry. And then move my rook right here and go for mates. And I don't see how he's going to stop that unless he goes like right here and then queen right there, attacking my queen, whatever. So I go for this, and the game doesn't like this, but there's a reason for the sacrifice. So there you go. Game top move, of course, taking the pawn. And doom. Yeah, so one of the moves here, one of the top moves is not taking the pawn. So then I can eventually get the rook right here. So the game is telling me, yes, let's go forward with getting the rook on the H file to support the queen. There you go. Now you will eventually want, you don't really have to, I guess, right? Because it's a dark square bishop. So you can just take that pawn and the next move go for mate right there. So yeah. So here again, I'm sitting to myself and thinking to myself, do I go king to g7 to get the rook here? Because there's no real threat from this bishop. So I decided to just go ahead and take the bishop. I'm like, you know what? All right, let's just go for it. Let's take the bishop. And then he goes for a potential queen trade. Now, at this point in the game, I'm looking at this and I'm going, it's one of the best, it's the third best move, but it's not the best by any stretch of the imagination. And I looked at it and I went, why would I do that? Why would I get out for a queen trader here? Like I could, queen trade, but then I'm like, then I just ruined my attack. My whole attack plan depends on my queen being right here. And he's not forcing a queen trade or anything like that. And there's no threat. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna park my queen back over here. I just took the bishop and I'm out of there. So there's that. Boom, boom. Um, what do we have here? Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, I was checking something real quick. Takes, and then again, I'm looking at this going, all right, okay, we want to go forward with our plan. We want to go king to g7 so we can go rook to h8. However, we want to be paying attention to the fact that our knight is hanging. The queen can come down and take. Not to mention the queen is being supported by this rook right here. Really strong battery that could potentially cause some big problems for me. So I thought, what I could do is I could take the knight, this pawn right here, it's a free pawn, and get the knight out of danger. What's the queen going to do at this point? You're not going to come down and do that with your queen. Crazy? No, you're not going to do that. I could also protect the knight with a rook. I could do that. That's an idea. And that's the top move is to take on c5. The other second top move is to just ignore the potential threat on the knight and just go king to g7. The other one is d5. So none of the top moves regard guarding the knight. And it is e5 that I decided to go with. The reason why I went for e5 is because at this point, what I want to do is I want to force him to make certain moves. I want to force him to make uncomfortable moves. Now this did risk, something like so the top move here is c3, which I missed. I did not see that. c3 would be the best move. You're attacking the knight, but you're also preventing the knight from taking that right there. In which case I might, protect the knight. I don't know. I might just go ahead and let the knight die. But the problem with letting the knight die, and then I'm thinking about is if you let the knight die, then there's this, and that could be a potential problem right there. So that would just create problems for me. That's something I missed, but I went ahead and took it anyway because I'm looking at that right there. That would be a strong, nasty fork on the king and the queen, and it would just continue to put pressure on him. Just continuing to pressure him. That's just the idea here. And you're like, man, you should have just taken that pawn a long time ago. Yeah, I probably should have, but I was just afraid that I was going to come under attack at some point and I wasn't going to see it. And I was like, I just need to be careful here. All right, so he does not take and actually just makes a huge blunder. This is a massive blunder. He just goes ahead and attacks the knight because that fork is right there. And of course, the game is like, yeah, go for that fork. Boom, fork, boom, takes. Now, this is a huge, this is like game over now. But however, even though that was a huge advantage for me, the king can now. Oh, actually, now I'm thinking about it, he can't get away because but he does take the knight. So now the king can potentially now escape off that, and that's the bad part about all this. But I did win a queen, and so that means that even though my game plan may be delayed, it's going to be inevitable at this point. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. Now we're finally going to move the king out of the way, line up the rook. Go for check right there on h3. Finally take out that pawn. So there we go. We take out the pawn. Check. This is game over. You know what's going on now. I took that pawn because it was free. It was just a free pawn. I didn't know exactly what to do. I want to get my queen out of danger because she's looking right at the rook, or the rook's looking right at her. But you might be thinking about this like, oh, look at that fork skewer on the rook. Now, no matter what happens, the rook moves. Oh, you just take, and then you check, and then you take the other one, Except unless, of course, the rook just does that. That ruins all that. See, again, that's something we gotta learn when playing chess. You look at this and you go, oh, sweet, I could take him out. Like, this is a sweet move. Maybe not. You just gotta think about those things. All right, so. But that's so. In other words, I took that pawn not because I wanted to do the skewer, but just because it was a free pawn. I knew that wasn't going to really work. So, all right. So we still are about to win this game. There's no way to win this game. I'm going to go for check right there. And do I do that actually? No, I don't. That's right. I don't do that. I do something that's probably not very smart. That's probably not a smart move, because then he can it's not a dumb move. Like it would be not smart if this wasn't there, because then this comes down, and if I take, I lose the rook, and then there goes, my opponent's gonna make a queen. But who's to say he wouldn't even get checkmated by then? But and then if I, but because this is there, I can just go boop and take right there, and then no threat. All right. Now we go for check right here. And that was just a dumb idea. I don't even know why the bot did that. Like if I'm gonna get checked and I'm gonna go out that way. Then you get away. But now you've just guaranteed checkmate. You've moved your king away from any defenders it has left, your last two pieces, and into the arms of these two right here. So now, of course, the natural move is this. Queen takes on f3. At least that's one of the natural moves. I guess the bigger move is this right here. But I took right here. I went for check just to, there you go. And I look at this and I went, oh, wait, oh, there's mate right there. Yeah, there's mate guarding right there. He cannot escape. Boom, 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 boom. And that's just checkmate. So, all right. So I wanted to explain that game while it was fresh on my mind. I really enjoyed that one, the way I played that one, because like I said, I'm trying to play this game. At least I'm practicing against the bot, trying to just play and just think about my moves and and just anticipate things and try to visualize lines like that's because I've been kind of like a stalemate in terms of chess lately, and I'm like I want to get better at it. I really want to get better at chess. I enjoy playing chess. I want to be somebody who I don't really care to be like the like a pro, but I would love to be somebody who just is able to just is pretty good, like pretty a pretty decent player, so there you go. So that's what I did in this game. I was thinking like looking at lines, visualizing lines and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I missed probably a ton of stuff, but we're getting better, we're learning, and yeah, so it was a good game. I really enjoyed this one. I was never in a whole lot of trouble. I guess I could have potentially been in a lot of trouble, but not really a whole lot of trouble. So that is that. That is this game. I hope everybody enjoyed this little review of this game. Going over this whole thing. I want to try and get back to doing some reviews of observed chess games that I watched, and that's kind of what I want to get into a little bit. But yeah, it's just been so busy lately, so it's been hard to do that. But for now, there you go.